I can guarantee you I did not make YouTube, because if I did, I would probably not be standing here today. I would be on an island somewhere by myself with my wife doing absolutely nothing. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have some friends that have a theory that I have decided I'm going to make my mission in life to help spread this theory far and wide. And the name of the theory is very, very simple. It's just called the struggle bus theory. Now, what the struggle bus theory is no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what you do in life, every once in a while, occasionally, you're going to have a moment. You're going to have an instance. You might even have a day where you just can't get your brain functioning properly. For whatever reason, you wake up in the morning, there's just a fog over everything that you do. You go to open up a door, smack yourself in the forehead. Spend 10 minutes looking for your keys or your cell phone, and then you realize that they're in your hand the entire time. And they say those are the days or those are the moments you are, quote unquote, riding the struggle bus. For example, I'm a terrible speller. I've always been a bad speller. I know I'm a bad speller because I spelled one word right in third grade and I got a standing ovation. And I can still remember the word. The word was balloon. However, I still have trouble with certain words. And I don't know if any of you have ever done this. This is what I struggle with. There are sometimes I cannot even spell the word close enough to get spell check to recognize what the word is in the first place. So then I have to change the entire structure of the sentence because I can't even get close. So, for example, I'll be sitting in an airport and there'll be a problem with the plane. There'll be a maintenance issue, and I'll be texting my wife and I'll be like, the plane's broken. Like, those are struggle bus moments. I had one a couple weeks ago. I went to a hot yoga class, a hot power yoga class on a Sunday morning with my wife. Now, I've done yoga many times. I like yoga. Namaste. I enjoy warm flow. I even enjoy hot yoga. But this hot power class was good. It was a good class. It was packed. Just sweated out a ton. So you get very dehydrated no matter how much you drink a soda. I thought, all right, I got to stop at the gas station real quick. I got to get a bottle of water. That way I can start rehydrating. I was so dehydrated, I'm in the gas station. I open the bottle of water after I pay for it, and I'm drinking out of the bottle of water. And it was a 1-liter bottle, not one of those little 20-ounce ones that takes you 3 seconds to drink, a full-on 1 liter. And I was drinking it, and I had it up to my face like this as I'm drinking it. I go to open the door to leave. But what I didn't realize is that the size of the bottle, the length of the bottle, was longer than the length of the handle sticking out from the door. So I literally go like this, cut through my lip, start bleeding all the way down over the front of my shirt, all because I wanted to drink a bottle of water after yoga. That's a struggle bus moment. Now, they said the funny thing is, as you go through life, as you get to meet more people, you will soon begin to learn that there are some people who have a permanent seat on the struggle bus. And I didn't really think that was true until I met someone who definitely rides every day. I was eating at Subway. I eat at Subway a lot when I travel around. And I don't know if any of you know this. Are any of you connected to agriculture at all? Anyone have farmers in the family or anything like that? I do not. I was unaware of this. But apparently we have an overabundance of lettuce in the world. Did you guys know? Did your family members? We just have too much lettuce. But luckily for all of us, Subway as a company has taken it upon themselves to help rid us of this abundance of lettuce. Because if you go to a Subway and you ask for lettuce on your sub, they don't just sprinkle some lettuce. They get a shovel and start piling mounds of lettuce. So I always ask for the same thing. I always ask for light lettuce. So I go to the Subway one day and I'm talking to the sandwich artist across the counter. And I'm like, I would like light lettuce, please. And this woman looks at me, doesn't even blink her eyes, and just goes, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. We only have regular lettuce here. Oh, how's that bus treating you, ma'am? Nah, everybody rides a struggle bus once in a while. That's just okay. But what's so fascinating to me, what's so interesting to me is how we as human beings approach the word struggle. That the word struggle itself has such a negative connotation surrounding it. That you very rarely hear someone say, you know what, I'm really looking forward to this struggle coming up over here. Or you know what, I can't wait to try this because it's going to be really difficult. I'm going to struggle a lot, and that's exciting. Instead, we do all sorts of things. We read blogs, we read books. We talk to people about how we can avoid struggling in life. There's a question, a single question that many would be able to say is probably the most popular question of all time. That of all the questions that get thrown around the world, this one question has been asked over and over and over since the beginning of humankind. What is the meaning of life? Everyone's asked that question. At some point, we've all sat back and said, you know what? What is the meaning of life? And while I think it's a good question, I think it's the wrong question. I think a better question is, what is the meaning to life? And even though it's just a tiny bit different, the reason I think that question is better is when we pose, what is the meaning of life? It lends itself to a singularity, to a finite thing, to something that's definitive right there that is universal for everyone. But when we pose the question, what is the meaning to life? It lends itself to something that is infinite, that is ongoing, that isn't going to be the same for every single person. That's a process. And I believe the meaning to life is to evolve. That's it. Is to grow. Is to consistently work on becoming a better version of ourselves, a better version of our organizations, a better versions of our communities, a better versions of our states, our countries, of our world. Is to not focus on becoming the best at something, but instead focusing on getting better. To not think of life in a moment of perfection, but more along the lines of progress. And what's fascinating is we grow most, we evolve most in life when we struggle. Evolution in life doesn't happen in the calm of things, it happens in the chaos. Growth happens when things are difficult. It's our struggles that make us stronger. If someone happens to get into an accident, if someone spends a lot of time off their feet, if someone spends a lot of time with something in a cast, what happens to their muscles? They atrophy. They atrophy because they're not being used. And our personalities, our skill sets, they're exactly the same. If they're not being challenged, if they're not being used, they can't continue to get better. They'll go backwards. And this doesn't mean that you have to find specific reasons that are going to be really difficult, to go looking for all those struggles in life. What it just simply means is you have to recognize that when things are going difficult in your life, we need to focus on what now, not on why this. When something happens to us in life all the time, most people, they just sit around and go, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. That's not fair. Why is this happening? What's going on? And yeah, there is a time for assessment to figure out if there's something that we might have been able to do to avoid getting in that situation. But the most progress gets made when we simply say, okay, what now? What choices do I need to make in order to move forward from here? Huff talked about it this morning. It was about what little things do you do? And when he said, okay, I'm not going to get out of here and be all these things instantaneously, it was a process. And he understood that it was going to take time and it was going to be a matter of I squared, incremental improvement over time. Everybody struggles in life, but the people who understand that struggle itself is not a bad thing. It's when you allow the struggle to completely and totally envelop your life and forget about your ability to focus on what choices you're going to make to continue moving forward. Because if you can work through those struggles, that's where the growth happens. Now, when I first started speaking, I had some friends that said to me, they said, listen, you need to do something within your program, within your presentation, that's going to be different than everyone else. You have to have your shtick. You have to have your thing. And I was sitting around trying to figure out, what can I really do to demonstrate that we live in a world that never stops changing? That's one of the universal truths about life. We always talk so much about change management. We don't need to manage change because you'll never manage change. It never stops. It's like saying we need to manage the air that we're breathing every single day. It's always there. What we need people to do is learn to lead their own evolution. And then when we have people leading their own evolutions, people will then start to say, okay, now how can we do this for our organizations? And I was sitting around trying to figure out what could I do to really drive home the idea that life has changed, that things are always changing all the time. And one of my friends said, hey, what's that quote that you use all the time? Because I have a quote that I use a lot and simply says this. It says, life isn't always the party we'd hoped for, but while you're here, you might as well dance. And basically what it means is life isn't perfect, we know that. But that doesn't mean that we can't choose, metaphorically speaking, to dance every single day. And then one of my friends goes, hey, you know it's changed a lot over the years. Dancing has changed a lot. If you could do a little dance routine of the last 60 years of dances, that'd be hysterical. And I'm like, you're right, it would, but there's a problem. They're like, what? Like, I can't dance. They're like, that's all right, you can't sing either. That never stopped you before. Just true, but I am the best singer in my car. That's all that matters. Raise your hand if you like to belt it out when no one else is around and you're all by yourselves. Oh, yeah. And hopefully some of you are just like me. When you're singing a song by yourself, you crank the volume so loud that you actually convince yourself you sound just as good as the people singing a song. So if you haven't figured it out here in just a second, I'm going to get jiggy with it for you. But for those of you that do not know, it's a thing called the evolution of dance. It's the last 60 years of popular dance moves all in one 6-minute routine. Now, I will talk very, very briefly once I get done dancing, but Matt has got it all set up back there. Let me warm up real quick. Okay, I'm good. Hit it for me, my friend. The evolution of dance.
You make me look for a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't nothing for a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. catch this. My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me. What am I to ride and do like this? It's good when you know you're down. A super dope homeboy from the Oak Town, and I'm known as such. And this is a beat you can't touch. You're what?
You I get no doubt.
Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style.
Yo, man, let's get out of here. Word to your mother.
Just kidding. Must see the elevation change from Ohio. I know some of you are like, yeah, that gets to me too. Wait a minute. Get off that bus. Very, very quickly, a couple things. There are a pair of socks on each of your tables for you to take home with you as a gift from me. They are struggle bus socks. I'm a firm believer that you cannot be a jackass and wear fun socks. The universe will not allow it. So if there's anyone you know who is that type of individual, give them the socks for Christmas. When they put them on, miraculously, they're not anymore. And I'm just going to leave you with this one last thing, is this. May your struggles be many. May your growth be exponential. And may you never stop evolving, because that is the meaning to life.